One of my students recently wrote a really interesting short scene about going to an island off Portugal with her father, family vacation. And it was just a wonderful scene of the island, and she described it so well. And they went to this beach. But the problem was eventually in the story for her and her father was they lost track of time. And so this paragraph comes from that story. And I just want to read over this and show you how the order of events is a little bit misplaced, and how if we just move things around a little bit and add a little bit of detail, we can really improve the experience for the reader of this scene. So let me just read this over. As the sun began to dip towards the horizon, reality set in. We realized we had lost track of time, and the last ferry back to São Miguel was about to depart. Panic washed over us, and we raced towards the pier. My mother was waiting at the dock trying to get the captain to not leave. She was so stressed and kept calling us, but because we were swimming, we didn't have our phones on us. So it went to voicemail the entire time. "Come on, we need to hurry," my dad urged, his voice tense. With a sigh of relief, we made it back just in time, but not without my mom scolding us for cutting the time so close and ignoring her calls. So there's a lot of potential here. After the earlier part, which I haven't shown, of her describing the wonderful island and the time spent with her father, and now we get the high point in the scene, which is they might not make it back. And the last ferry is basically waiting for them. So I mentioned earlier a question of order. So there's a number of things going on here if you look at the paragraph. For example, we get this idea that suddenly they realize, in the third sentence, that they better get back. The panic washed over them, and we get some action. They're starting to race. They're starting to run towards the pier. But then it moves into something that the author could not have known, and that she could not have known that her mother was waiting at the dock, telling the captain not to leave, that she was stressed, and that she even kept calling us, because obviously they didn't have their phones on them, so they didn't even know this. So as a sense of the moment, we cannot know these details. And so as an author, what she should be doing is simply telling what she could experience at that moment. We could have more of the physical nature of running towards the dock, more conversation, not just the "come on, we need to hurry" part from her father, maybe a little bit more dialogue there, maybe running past other tourists, or maybe even seeing that there are showing the scene that there's nobody here. Isn't that strange that there's nobody at the beach? Because everyone's gone back to the ferry already, right? So we just need to build up a lot of those experiences as it was experienced by this author. The fact that they didn't have their phones on them, that's not something she would have experienced in the moment, right? This is something obviously her mother told her later, that kind of thing. And you don't really want to jump out of a scene and kind of give information that you found out later after the scene was over. That takes the reader out of the moment. So I would probably remove a lot of that, or maybe have mother talk about that later, and that kind of thing. And then when you get to, with a sigh of relief, we made it back just in time. So what does it mean to make it back? Does it mean you jump on the board that leads up to the ferry at the last second? Is one of the employees of the ferry, about to lift that board up, and you're just running on it? And do you smile at the employee who, is smiling at you or is mad at you? I don't know. Whatever that scene looks like, we made it back. Just needs so much more detail here. And then, of course, mom scolding us. Great moment to add in some dialogue. "What were you guys thinking?" Mom said. "Why didn't you bring your phones?" Mom said. Just something like that to bring it to life, to get Mother into the scene. Right now, Mom scolding us is a summarizing of the dialogue, and it seems like Mom is not quite right there with us. So those are some ways you could reorder it. You could remove some things out, expand on a few details to really bring this story to life and make it feel immediate, like we're actually sitting on your shoulder, following you as you race towards that boat, as you know, and almost not get on. So this was a great start, but this is a first draft, and that's how I would bring it more to life in the revision process.